Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SHC Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Sisk, and today we'll be featuring business professor and founder of Light of the Village, John Eads. In today's episode, we'll be discussing why he and his wife decided to drop their corporate careers and work with gang members, how he manages his nonprofit organization without taking any government funding, and the authorship God uses in our lives.
I am ready, brother.
Me too.
Let's rock.
That's the logo we got.
Dude, nice. I like it. Business podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Sounds great. Ready, Mr. Eads?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Good morning, Mr. Eads.
How you doing, Ethan?
I'm great.
All right, cool.
It's awesome to have you on.
I appreciate the invite always, dude.
Yes,
Very
sir.
cool.
So I feel the only way to know the true magnitude of John Eads is to start from the beginning.
Oh, that's scary.
Can you tell us about your upbringing?
I sure be happy to, man. I was born in Dallas. My family moved to El Paso. My dad was a dentist. And a couple of years after we moved there, my mom left, and so it was just my dad, my brother, and I. Mm-hmm. And I was raised in a single-parent home with a father in charge, which Pew Research suggests in the 70s that was like 3%. So, yeah, that was kind of cool. My dad really, towed the line for us. Mm-hmm. My brother drifted off into some drugs and some issues. Sadly, he became homeless for a while, and he was killed in 1985. So when I started going wayward in middle school, like many of us do, they decided to send me to a military school in Roswell, New Mexico. And that's where the aliens, I never saw an alien, but they supposedly were there. I don't know. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was rough. I was 14 years old, moved away from home. Mm-hmm. It was pretty draconian back then in the 80s. It was pretty interesting. It was a unique experience for sure. But it's made me who I am today. And I found my faith there for sure. I found the ability to be a better person there. And so, 6 years there, man. And then after that, I was commissioned in the Army. Mm-hmm. I went in the Army. That was cool. Did the airborne thing. I thought that was an adventure, which it was. And then after I was done with my military commitment, I was working on getting my master's degree over at New Mexico State University in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. That's where I met Dilo, my wife. Yes. And so she was a special ed student. She was studying to be a special ed teacher. And so we met at a jewelry store where we both worked. I was working to go through school and put myself through school there. And it was awesome, dude. And so we met and fell in love right away. And within 3 weeks, we were talking about our lives together forever. So it was kind of cool. Dolores is awesome. I know you've met her. People have met her. I mean, she's just cool. She found out about 2 years after we met, that she could no longer have children because she had severe endometriosis. But hey, man, it's just one of those things that God throws at you, and you roll with it, bro. It's turbulence. Fasten your seatbelt and rock on. And so we continued. We were married in 1994. I got my master's in business from New Mexico State. Decided I wanted to go into healthcare administration. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you make a lot of money in it, and that was a unique kind of niche. I'd like to say, because I'm, really wanted to care for people. No, I'd be lying to you. Anyway, so Dolores and I, after being married for a year, after getting my master's in business, MBA, we moved to San Antonio to get a master's in healthcare administration. Dolores was already working. She worked a year in Las Cruces, moved to San Antonio. She got a job there. And it was pretty cool. And just to follow that train, that corporate line of thought, I then did my 2 years and 1 semester at Trinity for the master's level stuff for healthcare. And then I was hired by the Infirmary Health system in Mobile to come and do a year-long internship. And we didn't even know. We're like, whoa, we thought we'd end up in New Mexico or Texas, not Mobile. But here you go, man. It was the offer I got, and it's one of the only offers I got at the time. So that was cool, man. Here we go. Picked up and moved in 1997. The other journey, and like I said, finish that off, man. I love that career. I was in the infirmary for 10 years. I was a CEO of 2 rural hospitals. It just an awesome experience. It was everything I wanted it to be as a corporate professional, I guess. However, when we were in San Antonio, God put it in our heart actually even before San Antonio, in Las Cruces, before we moved to San Antonio, I wanted to work with gang members in prison as a ministry volunteer, which made absolutely no sense at all, right? I came from a military thing, did the MBA thing, corporate thing, and all of a sudden I felt God leading us that direction. And my wife wasn't into it at first. Who would be? Let's all go into a prison and hang out. However, after we moved to San Antonio, I found a ministry that I could plug into, Prison Fellowship Ministries. It's a national ministry started by Chuck Colson. And we started delivering angel tree gifts before I was certified to go inside a prison. And while my wife and I delivered those Christmas gifts of the inmates' kids, that's kind of how it started for us. Dolores and I serving side by side doing it. And then I went into a couple of prisons. Dolores then, about 6 months later, decided she'd go into a prison as well. Moved to Mobile, got involved with the prison fellowship place here. And even though I was working full-time, she was working full-time, the in-prison ministry side of us just took off, man. And we started working with adults. There was nobody working with kids. So we just basically established a youth in-prison ministry over at Mount Meigs, which was for the teenagers with a lengthy sentence. That's where they go. It's called state school, but it's a prison for kids, really is what it is. So we went there every other week, and then we went to Eufaula Youth Center. So point being, we have this dual role, right? We're doing our corporate thing. She's working, I'm working. We're moving from Chatham, Alabama, back to Bay Minette, Mobile, and so forth. And but at the same time, on the weekends, we'd go and do these in-prison seminars. And then we saw this really cool video clip of an inmate at Holman Prison, which is in Atmore, where I had been going, and he just kind of challenged the listeners to, basically he says, where were you when I needed you? For me, it's too late. Be there for somebody. Go out into the projects. You'll find me every day. His name is Michael Duran, and it just hit us in such a way. And he says, to say I love you is one thing, but to prove it is a whole nother thing. Show me that. Wow. And so at that point, that was the trigger for us to pull back from in prison and establish like a forward operating base, a ministry center inside a very crime-ridden neighborhood. Alabama Village was the place to go. And so we looked at other places, other housing projects that we had delivered gifts to, we were familiar with. It's funny, now today, all those places are closed. They've all been torn down. And it's kind of interesting that, again, God led us to Alabama Village. And so we were there, 333 Baldwin Drive, and we've been there, started there in 2001. And we've been there, 23 years, man. And now it's a full-time ministry. As you all know, you've been there. Students have been there. Light of the Village. Yeah, Light of the Village, man. And we had no idea that's what it would be. We thought it would be just, okay, we're going to go serve some hamburgers on a Sunday, once a month or something.
A lot more than that.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, God's plan was amazing. And so it was cool, man. And I like to tell students, you don't have to go all Mother Teresa, man. In other words, if God calls you into something, first and foremost, it may make absolutely no sense, right? It made no sense to us. What do I know about gangs in prison? Nothing. But it's not about you. It's about Christ, right? And how you reflect him to them. And what we have learned over these many, many years now, they don't care. They want to know, are you genuine? Why are you talking to me? Do you really care about me? Those basics, dude, and those lessons that we learned in prison have followed us into the neighborhood. And to be honest with you, the neighborhood ministry that we do since 2001 at Light of the Village, 10 times harder than prison ministry because you're in the neighborhood, right? And so it's very volatile. It's you never know what you're going to get. But at the same time, it's beautiful, man. And that's kind of how it evolved. Yeah.
That's a great summary, but I got so many questions.
Go for it, dude. Yeah.
To start, I think it's cool on our logistical upbringings. I was born in Dallas, but my parents are from El Paso.
Yeah.
So similar spots, and then with Dolores.
Yeah.
One thing, I took your Business 220 class.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And you said that right when y'all met, she had another boyfriend, and
yeah, she did, yeah,
and it was okay for you.
It was, yeah, dude. It's funny. In fact, okay, dude, this story comes around like everything does in life. Okay, so she was dating this dude who was going to go into medical school. And fast forward to today, he is a doctor that actually treated her father. He's a cardiologist, man. The dude, I mean, definitely excelled. And in fact, get this, bro. His daughter, okay, he remarried some other lady, you know, okay. And so broke up with Dolores. I'll get back to that in a second. His daughter is now dating our nephew.
Wow.
Dude, and they're gonna get married, and so it's apparently, and so we're gonna all meet. It's crazy, stupid, right? But anyway, whatever. Back to our deal. When I met Dolores initially, she was dating this dude, and that is when in August of what was it? Let me think about the year. Yeah, August 1st of 1990 is when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I still had a reserve status. They put me back on active duty, so I disappeared. I left the jewelry store, went back into active duty for that short term because that was unlike the war we've recently had. That was pretty quick and fast, okay? Mm-hmm. And so I was gone for about 8 months. When I came back, she had broken up with that dude. And so that's when our relationship was able to develop. Yeah, that's crazy.
Was there a certain thing that you like felt right when you met her when she had a boyfriend? And
no, because I again, growing up in a military school, taking my faith seriously, I'm not like, I mean, if someone's committed, all good, bro. I'm straight.
Yeah.
But I always remember her smile and just her. It's just a very nice person. The fact that she had an affinity for special ed kids, that says a lot about a person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was cool. In fact, she grew up in a place called Tortugas, New Mexico. If you know anything, and you know about New Mexico, you grew up in the Southwest. That's a pueblo. It's like an Indian reservation. Yeah. And what's so funny, dude, is that, and this is, everybody knew it in Las Cruces. If you're white, and I'm white, you don't go into Tortugas, okay? So it's kind of funny that she was from there. And yeah, we laugh about that even now because, again, do you see how God just weaves all this together? Mm-hmm. I'm going into prisons talking to, at least in New Mexico and Texas, Hispanic gang members. I grew up when I was at military school. I got on the boxing team and learned how to not to fight. I mean, I guess that was okay. But what God led me to do is learn how to deal with a group of people I'm not used to, right? I mean, my dad was a dentist. I was whatever. And all those skill sets, bro, were so important for both not just the relationship with my wife, but my relationship with God and the population he has us working with now, right?
Right.
And so it's crazy. So yeah, back to the story, yeah. So when I came back, she was away from the dude, and we didn't even date for real. We would go on walks and we would play racquetball and stuff, right? And then in May of that year, that had been 1991, we went on our first date. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I remember hearing that in class, and I was like,
isn't that crazy?
That's, a lot of the college scene is that drama.
Oh, yeah.
To walk away from it and come back, I think it's pretty special.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome, bro.
Then when you got the sign from God that you need to help gang members in prison, what did that look like? Yeah,
it was a movie, dude. It's a movie that nobody's ever heard of. You have to Google it. It's called American Me, and it was written, directed, and starred by Edward James Olmos, that some people may know. Anyway, he did this movie on basically how the Mexican mafia started. Mm-hmm. And of course, it started in LA prisons. And so he did this movie. And it was a rough movie. Even Dolores, I didn't want her to see it because there was some, prison rape scenes and stuff. It was a pretty rough movie. Anyway, I saw it by myself. I walked to the parking lot of my car. It was on a Sunday night, and I realized, you know what, I really think God wants me to make a difference in those people's lives so that they can see the faith, love, and hope. Not that I can offer, but that God can offer. And so, yeah, dude, that's what started. And dude, going back to the whole thing, how God works it all out. When I went to Homeboy Industries in 2007, Homeboy Industries was started by Father Greg Boyle, who actually got me introduced to Spring Hill College, by the way, through Dr. James Laviere. Anyway, I went to Homeboy Industries, and I met one of the guys who acted in that movie he was a real gang member. They tried to get as many real gang members as possible. Mm-hmm. He was not only in the movie, he took me to where they filmed it.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And true. It's just funny. I mean, yeah. And this is out in East Los Angeles. It's not in Mobile or San Antonio or El Paso. It's just awesome. the authorship that God puts together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody could put that together. And I still talk to him to this day. And so,
What
yeah, it's
what was the
awesome.
time frame from when you embarked on the helping gang member journey to when you met the movie star?
Yeah, it would have been '07. So once we started Light of the Village, it was primarily, okay, again, back to 2001, it was primarily younger kids that would come, right?
Yeah.
But then those younger kids got older. And so by 2007, it was kind of a pivotal year because a lot of those kids were now teenagers, and their challenges were more impactful on their lives. In other words, people selling drugs, people carrying guns, and all that whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. And so those little kids that we met, but more little kids are coming, and now older kids are coming. And I knew at the time that I knew nothing about gangs or how to help engage them, right, with the whole faith, love, and hope, right? And Dr. James Lavier met me at Carpe Diem, bro. I was still working at the hospital. He met me at Carpe Diem, and I'd let him know that I was interested in maybe, just guest speaking in a class. The CFO at the hospital that I was at, her daughter went here as a volleyball player. Kelly Hargett is her name. Anyway, so I met Dr. James, and he says, yeah, come talk. And I went and talked. And then just step by step, bro, the next year, I realized that we needed to leave our careers because the ministry was not just 2 days a week. It's now grown. And so many people were coming. And in order to handle it correctly, we both had to resign our careers, and we did. And in order to continue to feed us and the cats, right, I was offered an adjunct professorship here at Spring Hill College. And also, I do some work with Volunteers of America, doing some things. But our household income was 75%. We took a 75% hit. Dude, we never missed it. And I tell students that because money can, like, remember the quote from the Wall Street, the movie, money will make you consider doing things you never thought you'd consider. You have to own it. You have to manage money, or it'll manage you. And Dolores and I were always on the same sheet of music with that. We wanted to be debt-free as fast as we could. We didn't overspend, even when we were successful corporately. No, man, we didn't want those burdens. Somebody told me once, God doesn't need your ability, he needs your availability, right? And that's just so true because it's not about you anyway. It's about him. And anyhow, yeah, man. So when we made that decision, easy decision, bro. That was in '07, and that's when we decided, okay, I need to learn more about gang intervention. Dr. James Lavier let me know that Father Greg was going to be speaking at Byrne Hall here on campus. So I didn't just meet him, but I met the 2 former gang members he brought with him because my whole goal was to introduce myself, take them to our ministry, see it, and then for me to go out there and learn because that's how I learn better than anything else for me is to actually be on site. And so that all happened, bro, in '07. And so, yeah, so we went out to Los Angeles and stayed out there and learned from them and then brought all those things back and just learned a ton. And, the gang culture in Los Angeles is certainly not what happens here. But some things are universal. And then former gang members started coming to Alabama. And in fact, I show in one of my classes, there's a documentary that the LA Times did that actually was nominated for an Academy Award showing the gang members coming from Los Angeles to Prichard and working with our kids. And it's pretty cool. And you can YouTube that.
Yeah.
Alabama Homeboys, you can find it. It's pretty cool documentary. But yeah, so that relationship just developed. And once again, dude, none of this makes any sense, does it? I mean, to me, I look back on it sometimes, I'm saying, what the heck, bro?
It's all these outlier pieces.
Yeah, from a military school to a corporate career to all this, it just doesn't make sense. And it's awesome though.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see the Light of the Village and all that. When you were talking about the salary cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
How does Light of the Village fund it?
Yeah. Well, we don't take a salary. In fact, our board of directors, just to answer that question for us personally, my wife and I get paid $20,000 a piece. We only take that because the board mandates we get paid something. But we want all, because we know this ministry, again, we want to see where God can take it long after we're gone. And so we want the donations. So we're funded by donations like a nonprofit is. You know, our budget, it hovers around $550,000 a year now. Roughly 79 to 80% of those donations come from individuals. The rest come from foundations, about another 15%, and then churches.
So none of it's government money?
No government money. That's one of the pillars that we put in place. We put a couple of pillars in place when we started it. And this is what I talk about in my social entrepreneur class, right? Yeah, you got to know what your direction is. What is your mission? Yeah, you're going to veer here and there, but what is the core mission of your entrepreneur effort? And, you know, even if it's a nonprofit ministry like ours, it's what it is. But one of them was we would never take government money because there's always strings attached. And even if not right away, it'll happen later, or you become addicted to it. What I mean, not the organization becomes addicted to it. We've always been debt free. We have a credit card we pay off every month. When we built our $300,000 building, we raised the money before we even moved dirt. Wow. That's just what we wanted to do. The other thing is we don't care about numbers, we care about quality. So we will overstaff, like our summer camp is our big time of year, of which we have interns. We have Spring Hill students come and be interns with us. We keep a very, very low, instructor, let's call it, or adult to student ratio, because we want it to be quality. We don't want to just have this, rambunctious group of large people. We want the kids who want to be there, and everything we do is for free. We've never charged a dime for anything that we offer the kids because a lot of them can't come up with it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
How do you approach the idea to funders? Like, I know you had the Night of the Light.
Night of the Light, yeah. It's kind of funny, man, because it started organically. Because I was still working at the time when it first started, we were able to fund it, to get it going. And that's where a lot of these entrepreneur efforts fail, right? A bigger reason why they fail, they don't have somebody in charge with a business mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so that's so important. That's why I think it's a business degree is just awesome to have if you want to do something like this, because you kind of get it. And so we would fund it. It wasn't a real expensive, venture at first. We kept our overhead low, and then, but slowly but surely, man, once we had a story to tell, people would come and we invite them, just like back to Mother Teresa. She said, come and see. I can't explain all the things that she was doing. She would just tell people, come see it. And so we've always captured that mantra as well. Just come see it, man, because yes, we have after school. Yes, we have a summer camp. Yes, we have a gang intervention kind of teen program. Yes, we have ladies' night, but that's just so complicated in an elevator speech, right? And so we invite people just to come and see it. So we do that. We're very selective and strategic on how we do, like, social media, emails, or brochures, because like all of us, nobody likes to get bombarded with that every day. You just start hitting delete, right? And so we made a very strong effort, again, using some consultants that we have met over the years up in like this place called Urban Promise up in Camden, New Jersey. We've been there 3 times. And just learning from other best practices. Again, that's a business skill, right? And just knowing that, hey, this is how we're going to get the word out. This is how we're going to tell people. And then word of mouth, bro. It just grew. I think right now, as of 2 days ago, our mailing list it's getting close to 2,000 people on it.
Nice. As
far as our donations, we get about 500 entities that give us money. And that entity could be one person giving $5 or somebody giving 100,000. Just depends. So, yeah, man, it's awesome. And Ethan, and that's basic marketing, right?
It is.
Building relationships. I mean, it's so cool how it all fits together.
But it's the coolest thing, I think, is that you really emphasize that it's all God's working and His hands controlling.
Absolutely, and everything we do has a Bible study component. You know what I'm saying? And we don't beat them over the head. Like when they come on Sunday morning to have breakfast, it's like, okay, before you have breakfast, you got to sit at no, man. They've heard all that. I mean, we live in the South, dude. I mean, you're welcome to come, and after you eat breakfast, we're having Bible study if you want to stay. I learned so much of those basics in the prison ministry. I saw ministries that would just hammer people over the head or just do things. No. I go back to what that inmate said on that video. Where were you when I needed you? Be there for somebody. Show me that you care. I'm not there to, recruit. I mean, yes, we're there to recruit people, and our God is using us to recruit people, let's say, to join His kingdom, and it's up to us to present it, but at the same time, do it in such a way that is loving, which I think that's how Christ did it. So,
and the presentation is definitely more enticing when it's, not given to you, when you can stay after and do extra and then learn.
Exactly right. Yeah. Just hang around long enough and hopefully you'll get it. And we let God do His thing, man. And so but it's up to us to make sure that we present it all the way through the day. I mean, we can't get tired. We can't get annoyed. And it's still a very violent neighborhood. We deal with that. We prepare for those. We go to a lot of training courses. We take it real seriously. We've never had any civilian, like intern, volunteer get hurt on our campus. But there's been 5 people killed on our campus while we're not there. So, I mean, you have all this still going around us all the time, and this is where our kids grow up in. And so it's crazy, man. Yeah.
Have you noticed a different atmosphere in Prichard since y'all have been there?
Honestly, it's gotten worse. I'd like to say, it's made a difference. Nah, the violence has gotten worse, which is kind of confirms that we're where we're supposed to be, if that makes any sense.
It does.
When I talk to people who grew up in Alabama Village and have lived there for 40 years, I ask them the question, how do you compare it now to the way it used to be? And they grew up during the crack wars of the 90s and early 2000s. They say it's worse now than ever, as far as just the impulsiveness, the violence, the shootings, and all that.
What do you think are triggers for that?
I think, again, a lack of faith, love, and hope, a breakdown of the family. What's so interesting for us is now we saw the kids grow up and have their own kids, and there's just a lot of dysfunction there, man. Some people say, it's a racial thing. It's not a racial thing. It's a cultural thing, man. And it's very cancerous. It's very malignant. In other words, if a kid grows up in just chaos, right? How are they going to raise their kids? Probably in even more chaos. You see that. So a breakdown of the family, even, President Obama said that. I mean, it's the breakdown of the family is a key deal. As far as all the shootings go, as you know, on our memorial wall, we have 63 faces up there, okay? People that we knew that have been killed. Primarily, it's because of pride. Okay, it's not about gang affiliation. No. That may play a role, but no, it's about pride. It's about impulse control. They just don't have it. And I say they, the people on that wall, the people that we deal with every day. It's hard, man. It's so those are lessons that we try to impart. Yeah.
What serves as your foundation when people are constantly coming in and out of your life? For instance, those 63 people.
Yeah. You realize why you're there. It goes back to that core concept. We're there to serve God first. We're there to serve Him first, the community second. That almost sounds backwards, but no, it's not. If it breaks our heart, it breaks His heart even more, And so we realize that. And it's not supposed to feel good. That's what a lot of people don't get. They say, oh, man, you have a white savior complex or something like that. I laugh at that now. First off, Dolores is brown, so she's Hispanic, right? Orale, right? So she can't have it. They don't realize that this kind of work is hard, bro. And we leave, and I don't say that to look for sympathy. No, man, but I'm not going to let somebody think, oh, yeah, you go and you tell them how to live and you feel good. You don't. If you ask our staff and the Badgers, when students come, they'll ask them, what's it like to work here? And they will say, all of them. And by the way, all of our staff have been with us over 10 years. And that's crazy. Again, that's an HR thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Employee retention.
It's crazy. Huge. I mean, and it's not easy work, bro. And
not at all.
And the employees will say, most days we leave kind of sad because you're dropping those kids off in things that you have a pretty good idea of what you're dropping them off into. And anybody who thinks it's all rainbows, it's not, dude. It's crazy.
What is the salary of your employees?
Yeah, we have based it on other ministries plus a little extra. So all of them are paid pretty much online with what a public school teacher would make.
Okay.
So yeah, minus my wife and myself, we get paid basically minimum wage.
So the emphasis is all on there's no dollar denominations. It's all for the kids and for
yeah.
God.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's so special.
And to make sure, again, going back to a human resource idea, we want to make sure our staff, because now they've been there for so many years, and they started like your age. They started young, out of college. I mean,
how many of them are Spring Hill grads?
We've had three. We've had three. Now, some of them have moved on. Mm-hmm. They got married and moved on, so good. That's cool. Right now, and I hate to say it in Badger Nation because I'm a Badger, we have three University of Mobile graduates that work with us. So, yeah, don't worry. Badger Nation, step up.
They're joining the right cause. So.
Oh, they are. No. I kind of jest. But we've had many interns come and work with us over the summer. Mm-hmm. We have, Brianna Reed was a business student that I had in Business 220, and she comes every summer and works with us.
Yeah. What is the role of the Light of the Village in the Business 220 course?
Yeah, I think just to expose the students to something different, to really capture the essence of Spring Hill College, the whole Jesuit model of community, and I'm able to take them out there, and I don't just throw them out there. We're with them, as you well know. And we want that expose them to that neighborhood. The first thing I do with each class is I drive them through it and give them the history of the neighborhood and talk about it. So they have this kind of backdrop before they start serving the kids. Mm-hmm. And so then after that, they're required to come out on an afternoon, one or two afternoons. It usually is 2 afternoons a semester to come and just hang out, play with the kids, help us do the after school program. And so we do that. And when we first started, it was kind of new, but now after feedback from the seniors who graduated, many of them list that as the one thing that was the most impactful.
Certainly.
In their Spring Hill.
I can attest. I took your course last year.
Yeah.
The in the classroom stuff is probably also the best I've got here so far. But the experience of going through the community and then being to have a hands-on relationship with the people that live in that community is something you can't find.
No, dude, it's totally awesome, bro. It's totally awesome, and you mentioned it too. Like I say, it just to have the ability to teach a class here has just been amazing. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me just last weekend. They're getting ready to graduate with a master's degree, and they want to go into teaching, college level. And she asked me why did I start teaching? And the reason I did, man, is because I had a professor back at New Mexico State who was an IBM executive. He became an alcoholic and was fired, basically. But he was the best professor I've ever had, only because he could give real-life examples. Mm-hmm. And that's not to hate on those who can't. No. But it gave a great balance, from academic to reality. And so the way I look at it, and the way, once again, it's been verified by student evaluations, and I even send emails to past students from like 10, 15 years ago. What do you remember from the class? What that impresses you today, now that you've kind of been out there? But also, what did we miss? What could I improve, right? Mm-hmm. And by and large, they all say the same thing. The realistic stuff was such a great compliment to everything else they're getting, as a business student. And so, I love teaching the classes. I love, doing case studies and videos and just crazy stuff, bro. I mean, and so like today we're doing the Enron story about ethics and how that, it's just a powerful story. And it's so good lessons, I think, for students, because I try to put myself in the student's position. What do I wish I knew? And again, thanks to Mr. Cox, John Cox was his name, is his name. And he, just an awesome teacher, for sure.
How many people have gone through your programs, and do you have a rough estimate, or do you know the exact number?
Wow. You mean like the students?
Yes.
No idea.
Well,
The
Light of the Village ones?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, because so many will come for a couple of days or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the thousands at this point.
Yeah.
And especially, once we got so big in 2010, we opened up satellite camps. like one in Chickasaw, one in Maysville. We still have one in Tolmanville. And so it's just awesome, man, because you have these little centers, again, making sure we don't just grow for the sake of growing. We're not Amazon, man. We want it to stay quality driven.
Yeah.
But yeah, tons, bro.
What's your time allocation between those satellite spots and the home base in Prichard?
Yeah, we always know that the home base, and now because Alabama Village has kind of drifted away as far as the houses burning down and all that, so we bring all the kids in. So that's still our center point of operations. Like teen night, we bring them all in. So we bring in like 50 teenagers from 12 different schools, bro, to come for like what we call teen night from 6 to 8 on Wednesday night, and the candles come before that, and so that's pretty cool. And at the same time, like when we go out to like in what we call Camp Peace, which is in Tolmanville, working with the Parks and Rec there at the Figures Center, they run the same kind of program, and then as we meet those kids, they then as they grow up, they can be more involved in our teen program. Like we give them we hire like 30 to 40 of them during the summer to help us work the camp, and teach them, skills, work skills and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. So to answer your question, we're basically there 5 days a week, and yeah, it's just crazy.
And it's usually just after school care that the kids come and hang out?
Except during the summer. In the summer, it's from Tuesdays through Fridays. And then there's always Sundays, right? The Sunday morning, we're there from about 10 to 2, okay? But no, yeah, summer camp is crazy. It's like vacation Bible school that a lot of us are used to, but it's on steroids, bro. We go for 6 weeks, and that goes Tuesday through Friday from about 10 in the morning to roughly 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
And then you have all the prep time and all that afterwards. But during the school year, Monday, we're at Camp Peace in Tolmanville. Tuesday, we have LOV, Camp LOV. Camp LOV is the after-school program. Wednesday, all the teenage stuff. Both Mondays and Wednesdays, we have people going in the schools to tutor now. That's a new program that we started. Kristen Jordan was a high school math teacher and with a master's degree, and she decided that she felt God's calling to actually help kids learn. As most of us know, in public education, there's a lot of testing and a lot of bureaucracy, okay? Well, she got tired of that, and she really wanted to help kids learn. So we made it available, or I should say God made it available, that we could pay her a stipend, let her resign from that. And so now we have in-school tutoring, which is really cool. We didn't have that a year ago. And so they do tutoring programs, and then in the after school, they continue the tutoring. And then, Wednesdays we have the teen night. Thursday's our longest day. We have a community lunch for the adults. And then at 12, then we have the after-school program. Then my wife does a ladies' night. And there's like 25 to 30 ladies who come to that. And then, Friday we do all of our paperwork off-site. We don't do any paperwork on-site. So we do that back at home at where our office is.
Well, what do you document?
Everything, dude. I mean, anything that the IRS requires, that's where a lot of it is. You got to pay bills. I mean, it's just like a small business in the sense that, then everything kicks in, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta pay bills. You gotta pay invoices. You gotta write thank you notes. You gotta, do all those administrative things that we can't do while we're on site. And so that's usually what we save Friday for. Yeah, it's cool.
What goes on at a ladies' night? What happens?
Yeah, no, it's cool. The ladies come, and we've tried this a couple of times, Ethan. It's kind of crazy. My wife's tried it a couple of times, and it fizzles out. But for some reason, 2 years ago, she tried it again. They come, and it keeps going. And so they come, they cook a meal, like a home-cooked meal. Betty Catlin works. She grew up in the village. We knew her kids, blah, blah, blah. And she cooks a meal, and she does our Sunday morning breakfast, too. She cooks a meal, so they have a nice little meal. They go to that lighthouse across the street, which is a trailer that we've purchased from the guy once he moved to Florida to be with his kids. And so it's more of a home atmosphere. It's not a classroom atmosphere. And, they eat. They kind of hang out. They do a little art project here and there, this kind of goofy stuff.
Yeah.
But they're women. They're not they're not little kids. They're older women, but they enjoy that. We provide daycare for them, so their kids aren't there bugging them, right? So they can just be focused for the next 2 hours on having a good time, and then there's a Bible study component that Dolores does. Like right now, she's done The Chosen, that video that everybody likes, and it's pretty cool. And she walks them through that, and they love it. And the reason I say they love it is they keep coming back. So unlike the previous times where it fizzled out and died, yeah, it's huge, man. And they even want to do it in the summer, which is crazy because the kids are out of school, right? And they're kind of busy. But yeah, so they'll do it a couple of times in the summer as well. So you just never know. You try one thing. If it doesn't work, you move on to something else. And then if it reappears, yeah, you do it, bro.
What are the age ranges of adults that?
Yeah, that come to ladies' night specific or anything.
Night, but just adult functions and. Yeah,
all ages, dude. And that's one of the other components of the ministry. We wanted no one to ever age out. Okay, a lot of like youth ministries, once you hit 15, you're done.
Yeah.
No, because we see ourselves as more of in fact, there was a Jesuit missionary priest who came from Minnesota, stayed here at Spring Hill, and he told us that we are like a parish ministry. In other words, yeah, you're like a church, right? And we agreed, and even at that time, we wanted no one to say, okay, well, you're too old now, we'll see you later. That's not us, man. We know that's not who God is. That's not what we want to be. So in all honesty, they start at 5. Right. I mean, and there's some little ones that they bring during ladies' night to be watched, but for the most part, they start at 5. They go all the way. I think the oldest person we've ever had is like 95, 96.
No way.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, and so that's why we carve out specific like community lunch. That's when the kids are in school. Mm-hmm. So that's just for adults, so they don't have a bunch of kids running around, or that's for the older teenagers that have either graduated or have left school. So. Yeah, we try to give them their time. If that makes sense. Yeah,
it does. Mm-hmm. Speaking to the breakup of the family
mm-hmm.
and stuff, what do you think, like social tips or tricks are to instill that in a culture?
Yeah, wow, and that's a heavy question. And I was thinking about that even this morning, listening to radio on the Alabama, with the elections that just ended. Politicians are like a lot of us. They just want a quick one-step answer.
Mm-hmm.
There's no silver bullet here, man.
Mm-hmm.
People ask me all the time, what is the answer? How can we solve it? You just have to get in there and get after it. And everybody's different. One child's challenges are different than another, even if they grew up in the same household. I think so many times, and Americans do this. We want it. We want an easy answer. We want it fixed. We want it now.
Mm-hmm.
The wars we fight, we want it now. It just doesn't work that way, man. And it doesn't work that way here either. That's why you have to get to know each one of those people, make them feel whole, make them feel, again, the love of God, which is hard to do sometimes. And sometimes you don't know if they got it or not. I've buried quite a few people. I'm not sure if they got it. I'll find out one day, but you just don't know. And so I think what it takes is someone to care, someone to get in there and genuinely, help them through it and understand. The illustration I usually give is like when you're trying to untangle a child's shoe, right? When it gets all knotted up, and you have to, in order to untangle it, and they're all different, right? Some people have different knots, and so number one, they're all individual. But you have to get on their level, right? You have to get on the ground, kneel down beside them to start untangling it, and they're not going to be compliant, right? They're going to kick. They want to go play. They pitch a fit, and then once you untie it, you try to teach them how to untie it. Again, this is not about us fixing them. No, it's about teaching them how to work through some of these issues. Especially on the impulsivity side, right? I mean, why would somebody just pull a gun and shoot somebody? I don't know if you saw the news yesterday. Some lady got mad because she told somebody behind her to pay for her meal, and they didn't. So she rammed her car into their car, pulled out a gun, and started shooting into it. And we actually know that person. What? And you're like shaking your head. What are you talking about? Those soft skills, man, and that's what we try to impart, to first the kids, but even the teenagers and the adults as much as we can. And again, it's almost common sense. But so to answer your question, yeah, how do you repair the family? My gosh, I don't know. It's like this. What's that old axiom? How do you eat an elephant one step at a time? I mean, if you look at the entire issue, you'll burn out and walk away. No doubt. I totally believe that.
How damaging do you think rap music is to the youth?
I don't, it's been going on ever since we can remember, from Tupac forward. It just depends on the message. And I know a lot of people who listen to some of the worst parts of it, and they don't pick up a gun and start doing it. If someone is inclined to do it, you could say that it kind of could influence that. Do I think it enables it? Okay, that's a little bit more of a trick. I think that's a stretch, maybe, but I'm not here to say that it wouldn't, I'm trying to think of a good example, how many farmers listen to country music, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, If I listen to country music, I want to be a farmer. No, not really. I know that's a dorky example, but do I think it plays a role? I don't know if it plays as strong a role as people think it does. I think what these kids grow up in and see night after night after night
That's
plays
a lot
big role.
worse than any music.
Yeah. But does the music, again, does art, which one comes first? Does art imitate reality or reality, And so I think that's one reason, especially like, Tupac was a good example. I think he captured what people were feeling. And I'm not here to, support what Tupac was kind of crazy, but he was successful, and I think they do tap into a message that a lot of people do. Yeah, that's their life, and that's hard to see too.
Yeah.
If we don't see it, you know what I'm saying. If most people don't, and again, this isn't a racial thing. It's not. It is a cultural thing for sure. Yeah.
What are your upcoming goals or objectives for Light of the Village?
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to start summer camp. So we almost take it one step at a time. I try to separate it. I look at short-term goals, long-term goals. Short-term goals, man. We're getting ready to find our interns, get some interns, try to develop, some enthusiasm with people who want to get involved in this type of thing and give them the platform for it. And then, of course, also bring in as many kids, the kids that need to come and hear it, continue that momentum and that place where they can come and feel at home. It's kind of cool. They call it God's house and our home. Continue that for sure, man. And then, long term, I'll be interested to see where this tutoring program goes. I'll be interested in, we have Malcolm Garcia, who was a war correspondent in Afghanistan, is writing a book about his experience with us. He came and actually lived there for a year, on and off for about a year. And that's going to be an interesting book called The Village. We think it's called The Village. His editors in New York haven't figured it out yet, but they will. That's going to be cool. Just to inspire more people, man. Like I say in class, if God's calling you to do something, don't ignore it. Explore it, bro. I mean, okay, yeah. And even if it's just one weekend, or one day, who cares? You don't have to go all Mother Teresa on it, and then just let God do His thing. Yeah,
certainly.
Yeah,
it's very inspiring to me, the whole process, and very fortunate to see it firsthand.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I love, like I say, showing the students that, and we'll continue to do it, man. Sure. It's outside the box a little bit, I know, but I think it's a powerful thing, no doubt about it. And awesome. More importantly, the students think that in their evaluations, as you're one of them. So there you go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
So I think that's a great ending point.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eads.
Yeah, you got it, bro. Ethan, thanks, dude.
Yes, sir.
All good, man.
I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.